Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, welcome to Welding Thunder 2018, just for the fun of it. I'd like to extend a personal welcome to all of our teams and instructors. I put this together to give you a handle on what's new for this year. I'd like to welcome you to Skyline High. This is the second time we've been honored to host Welding Thunder, and this is Welding Thunder's second year of motorsports. We've got a bunch of great ideas from last year, and we've come up with some creative ways of implementing this on a high school campus. First and foremost, a huge thanks to Don at KZL Metals for donating $11,000 worth of laser cut and CNC bent frames. I've seen his shop and it's amazing. If I'm not mistaken, Don did some serious horse trading, wrangling, and some just plain arm twisting to get those frames together for us. I'm not sure which one of the aforementioned 3 techniques he favors, but I did hear there was a spate of dislocated shoulders at several of the local urgent care facilities. This year's theme is just for the fun of it. As we will all be using the same frames, we are asking this year for your secret components to provide a theme for your kart. The frame was designed to provide variable attachment points with movable crossbars and bracing so as to be as flexible as possible. Let's talk about the frame. The frame is based on a kart I designed a few decades ago for my kids. It is super strong, super light, and has been everywhere from Box Canyon to the dunes to the Death Kart Rally at Uranium Springs. Our frame is considerably larger. It is 7.5 feet long, 10 inches wider than the original, and a foot taller. The original's frame rails were tapered towards the front, as was the third iteration of our kart's design, which makes it stronger and look cooler, but it kind of reduces the flexibility of the design. Making the frame rails parallel allows the team to place the cross members wherever works best for their design. Take a look at the original and you can see that the third cross member is not at the intersection of the frame joint, it's doing service as an engine mount. Put them where they'll work best for your design. There's also a vertical member on each side of the frame rails. Their locations are intentionally unspecified. Put them where they'll work best for your design. There seems to be a recurring message here, folks. Maybe your team voted to make this look like a trophy truck. You can slide the members aft to the A-arm rear mounting locations. Maybe it's going to look like a stock car with fixed suspension. You can then move them forward to accommodate your spindles. Going for a rat rod look? Maybe dispense with them and use a solid front axle and oversling the rear axle. The design is up to your team. Maybe a post-apocalyptic, fire-breathing, rip-your-face-off vibe is more your team style? The design is up to you. Your team will get 2 frames. One practice frame in advance you may weld together and onto which your team may fabricable the engine, drive, steering, brakes, and wheels. Yes, you have to source your own parts. You only need 1 complete kart, so you can swap parts off of the prototype frame and onto the event frame when the time comes. Let's face it, most of what I'm about to say is my fault. The kart must use an internal combustion engine. Don't be that guy that shows up with a 4.8 kilowatt electric motor, and should be the equivalent of a stock Harbor Freight 212cc 6.5 horsepower Predator engine. We all know how to Google up a list of cool aftermarket parts. I don't believe anyone's going to ask you to take off a valve cover and measure your cam lift, but that's up to you. Wheels. 4, please. You don't want to be that guy that shows up with a 3-wheeled bat cycle. Don't ask me how I know. Get good brakes. I favor the one pictured. It self-adjusts and is pretty heavy duty. A puck clutch or a variable sheave drive, that's up to you. Steering, again, up to you. They make some pretty nice racks out there on the cheap, but you could also fab up all the parts for a trusty-dusty Pitman setup on the free. Tires, wheels, axles, and bearings, oversling or underslung according to your theme. Mount the front spindles low for more ground clearance, high for a lowrider appearance. Mind the speed bumps. As for welding on all the bits that move, you can keep everything simple, or you can let your team get creative and enter some facet of your build in the STEM competition. That's a pretty cool and simple way to adjust camber on the front end. Might just have taken some science, technology, engineering, and math to make that happen. Just saying. Remember, your front spindle attachment points are on a plane that is not parallel or perpendicular to the ground. It makes the kart stronger. And in addition, you'll be attaching to round tubing. Folks, think triangles. Wait, did I just assume your spindles were in the front? Now on to our facility. Welcome to the south end of the Skyline High School campus. I know the driving course is the first question, so please take a look at the road around the athletic field. This is going to be approximately a half-mile course. The start will be somewhere in the area outlined above, then clockwise around the outside road, and the finish will be just after the right turn at the bottom. We're going to set it up to keep the speeds down. The track will be outlined with traffic cones. Try not to hit them. That's how you're getting judged. Make sure your kart can handle a super deluxe speed bump because there are several of them around the track. The welding itself will happen in the parking lot, specifically just to the north of the Aquatic Center. The 4 rows of parking outlined in red will be our fabrication area. As of this writing, there are 14 teams planning on attending. As of the closing of registration, we will divide these 95 spots by the number of teams coming, and that's what you're going to get. Please leave it cleaner than you found it. The 2 rows of parking outlined in yellow will be Industry Alley. We anticipate having a load of live demonstrations which include, but are not limited to, pipe beveling and welding, underwater welding, aluminum casting, and steel forging. Many of our local welding employers will be there as well, showing off their product and, of course, scouting for the best talent. As you feel your heart rate increase in anticipation of all that is to come, I would ask you to please keep in mind my poorly paraphrased version of the immortal Sun Tzu. No plan survives first contact with reality, and these plans are subject to change without notice. This year, we are requiring each team to offer up as a volunteer student judge. Each entry will be judged as usual by our traditional judges, but will also receive a single conglomerate score from the series of student judges that will be shadowing the old people. Shadowing the traditional certified welding inspector judges. After your team's kart negotiates the driver's course, we will gather everyone up and parade the karts and the teams around the parking lot, or around the course, or down US 60, or whichever way winds up being the best route for a parade. In and amongst all the hullabaloo, we'll be co-sponsoring a car show Saturday at the other end of the parking lot. It should give our teams and the event a bunch of great press and give the instructors something to do as they try to ignore their teams. In addition, I also have some of my own secret shenanigans I'm brewing up for the event. If I can pull off half of them, it's going to be amazing. I look forward to seeing you all in about 8 weeks at Welding Thunder.